In the fall of 1987, I was a 15-year-old sophomore in Eugene, Oregon, and I came home one day in October and said to my dad, "Dad, I want to go to Japan." And my dad looked at me a bit bewildered and said, "Okay, why?" So, well, my Japanese teacher today in class was talking about how she has a friend in Japan who teaches at a high school, and if we send a student over, they'll send a student over, and so it's like this exchange thing. And my dad said, "Okay, it sounds a little loose. Is it official?" And I said, "I don't think so. I think they just kind of have a deal where they trade people, but I really want to do it." And my dad said, "Okay, do you speak Japanese?" And I said, "Well, I've got a year under my belt, so yeah, I'm pretty fluent." And my dad said, "Okay, and is there a way that we can find out more about this?" And I said, "Yeah, my teacher said that you can call her and ask her some questions about it, but I think it would be good to do. I think I should go to Japan." And my dad looked at me with this long pause and kind of thought it out in the way that I know that he does, and ultimately said, "Okay, let's look into it." And it probably wasn't his best decision making, but I give him a lot of slack because at the time, what you need to know is about 3 years prior, he and my mom had split up. My mom, at the time, was living on a nudist New Age commune in Northern California, to which he was sending me down a couple times yearly with my sister on the Green Tortoise bus, probably feeling like not the best parent in the world, although I wouldn't critique him for it. And he was taking care of my sister too, who was dealing with her own issues, and he had recently remarried a wonderful woman by today's standards, but at the time I was your typical 14-year-old dick of a stepson, gave her a running for her money. So my guess is my dad probably looked at this as a way to get rid of his son for 3 months and let him figure out all the problems. So long story short, come December, I'm at the Malin Suite Airport in Eugene, Oregon, about to hop on a plane. I look back and I see that my mom has left the commune to show up to wave me off, causing all sorts of fun chaos. But I get on the plane and I don't care. And what I found out later was my dad had a conversation with my Japanese teacher, basically to this extent. "So my son has a place to stay when he gets off the plane in Japan, right?" My Japanese teacher, in her wonderfully ebullient manner, said, "Well, we're not quite sure yet, but I'm guaranteed that by the time he steps off that plane, he'll have a home." And indeed I did. I got off the plane, and there was a wonderful smile welcoming me with a little piece of paper that said Pato McCreery, which is my name in Japanese, Pat McCreery. And I found out that that woman was named Yuko Murata, and she was going to be my host mother for the next 3 months. Turns out she had a son who was living in the United States for 3 months. They had an open bedroom. I was welcome to come on in. Who knew that it had just been arranged hours before? Well, I soon found my footing in Japan, kind of, but one of the first things I realized is that my tame Eugene, Oregon diet did not adjust well to the new foods in Japan. And so my host mother seemed to recognize that I was having a more than his customary number of trips to the bathroom each day. And one of the first things that she did was sit me down in front of a piece of paper on which she had drawn 2 diagrams, one of which looked like a polite little pile of pine cones, and then to the right of that was a pile of Dairy Queen soft serve minus the cone, and she pointed to the pine cones and said, "Unko?" And then pointed to the soft serve and said, "Unchi?" And I looked at her confused because I didn't know what she was talking about, and so she looks at me and she goes, "Unko. Unchi." At which point, because I was 15 and spoke the universal language of defecation, knew that she meant, "Oh, do you have the shits?" And I said, "I absolutely do. It's unchi. It's unchi multiple times every day." And she gave me something that took care of it, and it was fine. And I knew at that point that this was going to be the best 3 months of my life. Over the course of that 3 months, this host mother, Yuko Murata, encouraged me to skip school so that I could go shopping with her in nearby Tokyo. She encouraged me to skip school so that I could go to Tokyo Disneyland, where I undoubtedly learned more than I did in the Japanese language history class that I was slated to go to. My host mother, Yuko, would take me shopping with her and set me up to pull pranks on people refusing to speak any other language than English so that she could watch as they struggled to get me to understand things. I had found not only my surrogate mother at the time, but my surrogate prankster, my surrogate best friend, my surrogate person who I needed more than anybody I knew at that time. I also found the woman who thought it would be funny at one point to trick me, kind of in a mean way, at dinner. One of the first couple weeks I was there, We had a wonderful family dinner of sukiyaki, a big bowl of food cooking in the middle of us, and on the side were all these garnishes. And she points to a little pile of green things, and she said, "Oh, Pato, you will like this very much." And so I used my chopsticks, and I took a bit of it, and I said, "What is it?" And she said, "Oh, it's like avocado." And so, of course, loving avocado, I took even more and put it in my mouth, and then she watched and giggled as my eyes exploded at the first sensation of wasabi. But what really is motherly love if it's not accompanied by a little bit of pain? The good news is I've kept in contact with Yuko Murata this entire time. I got to see her about 5 years ago when I returned to Japan as an adult. I got to reconnect with her. We write letters every year. And what I learned from that experience is that sometimes the unknown is scary. Stepping on a plane, not knowing what's going to happen when you get off, is totally scary. But sometimes the unknown holds magical potential for people and relationships and experiences and opportunities that you couldn't possibly imagine. Sinners, I know you're probably struggling like I am in this new territory, and all I can do is think about that experience that I had and setting off into new territory as a 15-year-old sophomore in Eugene, Oregon, ending up in Japan, not knowing what the hell I was going to get into, and finding one of the best experiences of my life. I wish the same for you. Peace, health, be well.